What's going on, guys? Welcome back to this channel that's all about architecture, engineering and construction, and where we are also all about bettering the African narrative. Yes, you all know that this is actually a new channel. Yes, the previous channel, we are no longer posting videos to that channel for reasons I've explained before, both on this channel and the other channel as well. Yes, so if you're new to this channel, you're very welcome. Thank you very much. Please hit the like button. Also subscribe to this channel. If you've been enjoying our former channel, please show us some love as we continue to better the African narrative. Yes, so going straight to the point, this video is basically about the cost of building a boundary wall on a 50 by 100 plot. Okay, yes, now this is actually based on actual construction costs because we've been building this boundary wall on this new site of ours. So I think I thought that we would take the opportunity to share with you the actual costs of construction of this wall that we've actually incurred in building this boundary wall. Yes, now this again, like I always say, this is basically to give you an insight of how much or what range it should be costing you if you're building somewhere, so that you can know what to base on if you are building for yourself as well. There are, of course, there are many different variations that can occur if you're choosing different materials or if you have a different engineer. There are things that might vary. So I'm going to share with you first the assumptions that we're actually making. Not really assumptions, but the conditions that have been existent on building this wall as we do these BOQs. Okay. The first one is that first of all, this wall, the ground is okay. There is no any it's not swampy, it's not rocky, so it's basically a normal ground, and there are no special conditions that we have applied here. So if you're building probably in a wetland, you might find that the base or the foundation of your boundary wall is actually done using hardcore. That might cause also a variation in the costs of construction. Okay, this one specifically, this plot is not exactly 50 by 100, it's almost 50 by 100. It's slightly bigger than 50 by 100, and also while we've been constructing, we've not been constructing all the four sides of the 50 by 100 plot. So the total length in meters of the wall that we've been building is about 78 meters. Why? Because on the upper side of the plot, the neighbor already built the boundary wall, so there we do not need to build again, we just need to plaster it. And then on the lower side, half of it also the neighbor built on that side of the boundary wall, so there we only needed to do only plastering and nothing else. Okay, of course in the future we'll be adding more designs on that wall, but for now we just did the plastering. Yes, so basically why I'm considering 78 meters, yet in the title of the video it says that the cost of building a boundary wall on a 50 by 100 plot is that the way costs of a boundary wall at least function is that the relationship is linear. So if you can get the per meter rating of the wall, you can literally know if you have 100 meters, you just multiply by the per meter rating. Okay, so we are going to do this together, and then the total will divide it by the number of meters we've built, and then if you have more meters, you just multiply by the per meter rating. Okay, I hope that makes sense. The section properties from one point to another on a boundary wall are literally going to be constant, so it is safe to multiply the per square meter rating of the wall to the rest of the meters that you actually need for the wall, if that makes sense to you. So going into the details, also I would like to mention that during this period, I think it's now international, that the costs of materials, most especially construction materials, has really become very high, and they've become quite expensive. So the rates that we're actually considering in this video are the rates that we were using at the time we were building that boundary wall, yeah, which is about a few weeks ago, before prices actually shot high. So if things change in prices and they increase, be understanding to know that prices keep changing, you know. Yes, so let's dive right into the video. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, we bought 60 poles, each at 3,500. Now these poles were actually used for basically setting out of the walls, and also they were used as part of them were used as scaffolding. You know, when the wall exceeds about a certain height, people need now to start climbing to build the rest of the, you know, the remaining height of the wall. So that is what we used some of those poles for. Then we needed strings, bought strings of 50,000. Then then for cost aggregates, we used cost aggregates in just doing the concrete blinding at the base of the walls, to have our walls be stable, and also to have that neatness while we are doing the brickwork from the foundation. Okay, so we just needed only one forward trip, which was about 270,000. Now for this stage, you can even use hand crushed aggregate, which we actually used here, which is what we actually used, 270,000, and of course part of it actually remained, so it is safe to say it was slightly less than 270,000. Then you go to things like lake sand. For lake sand, we bought a whole sino truck, but we did not finish the whole of it. We used about 3/4, which is 0.75, okay, of it, and you can see the rate on the screen. Also for plaster sand, we bought a whole sino truck, but we used only about 1/3 of it, and that gives us about 450,000 shillings. Then for hardcore, we did not need any hardcore. Then for cement, we bought about 75 bags of cement, each at 28,000, bringing the total to 2.1 million. Then we also bought some timber scaffolding, which we used together with the poles to create those platforms where builders can actually stand and construct the part of the wall that is above the human height. We also bought DPC, 80 meters, 2,500 each, that is 200,000. We bought clay bricks, about 4,000 of them, each at 380 shillings. Now in this situation, some people might choose to use mud bricks, but of course clay bricks are much more superior. So we also bought nails, 20 kilograms, 6,000, that is 120,000. And then we also used 150 millimeter hollow blocks, about 2,300 of them, each at 2,100. Yes. Anti-termite treatment. Yeah, the place before had some ant hills and was also infested by termites because it had been left to stay for quite a long time. So we had to treat the termites before we actually do the construction. Okay, so we bought 10 liters, each at 15,000, which gave us a total of 150,000. Yeah, so you can see that this is basically based on what we used. So there are many ways in which you can tweak these costs to make them either lower or to make them higher. For example, you might, if the foundation you decided to use mud bricks, you might be spending a bit less. Also, even for the walling, you can see that the walling took actually the most amount of money, where we used 2,300 blocks, each at 2,100. If someone decided to use mud bricks or clay bricks for the wall and use them in stretcher bond, they would have saved more. But of course, you cannot compare the strength of the two or the durability of the two. But either way, either of them actually works. Yeah, this is just more superior than the others. So basically that's what it was, and the total brought us to 11.4 million. Okay, so if you can do the math, that 11.4 million actually covered 78 meters of walling. Okay, so if you can do the math, you can find how much it would cost you to do about 90 meters, because a standard 50 by 100 plot has 90 linear meters of walling. Okay, that is based on the assumption that none of your neighbors has built. Okay, if your neighbor has built part of the wall, you have an advantage. If they haven't, you'd have to incur that cost. So I hope this makes sense to you and can help you to relate, to not waste much of your time. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good time.